So Black Myth Wukong has been breaking records.
And students in my course have been playing the Chinese version, and I'm seeing even more people saying they want to learn Chinese to understand the story and game better. I'm all for it.
I think this is one of the best ways to learn Chinese in 2024. So let's break down some useful Chinese phrases in the game that'll help you sound like a native.
As for my pronunciation bootcamp starting on September 23rd.
Let's go.
人，我保住了；金，我取到了。
So why did they have 人我保住了，经我取到了?
That's a good question. So 人我保住了，经我取到了 is a super common sentence structure where we bring the object to the beginning of the sentence as the topic of the sentence.
Why?
That we want to talk about it and we want the listener to pay attention to it.
Okay, so it's like emphasis.
Right, it's usually emphasis of the sentence.
俺老孙啥功名不要，只求回到这花果山中了，过过逍遥日子。
逍遥日。
Okay, so we've got some dialect words. 俺啥 I use one of those all the time. 俺是啥意思?
But both of them are from northern dialects, usually. And 俺 is 我, but you get this countryside vibe.
有点土是吗？
有点土. So it's used in a lot of northern dialect areas like 河南、河北、山东、东北，俺们那嘎的。So it's super down to earth.
So what about 啥? I mean, like I use 啥 a lot myself.
So 啥 is even more common. I feel like a lot of southern Chinese people would use it all the time. So 啥 is just 什么. So you can say 你想啥？你想吃啥？or just 啥? Like what?
Yeah, shocked, surprised. 啥?
Yeah.
It's a lot more casual. Probably don't want to use it with your boss.
Don't use it with your boss.
上面的天王老子信不过我，我懂。
So you can hear the pitch range of his tones change a lot within this sentence. 上面的天王老子信不过我，我懂. So the last part 我懂 is drastically lower than the first part. And this is how we stress the key information in the Chinese sentence and express different emotions. And the last third of my Fàn Mandarin voice course and bootcamp are specifically designed to getting you sounding less robotic and more natural when speaking Chinese.
让你小子带些虾兵蟹将过来虚张声势，又想唬我回去做神仙。我也懂。
So I really like this section. It was the first part that I had to like stop and go back, listen to it again. Yeah, 就是虾兵蟹将, which also very hard to pronounce.
Yes, it is.
So what do we have there, pronunciation?
So there are XJ sounds that don't exist in English, so they are usually more difficult for English speakers, Americans, to pronounce.
就是鸡七西. You need a lot of time to just really build a good pronunciation habit on that, because otherwise you say ji chi shi and very wrong.
You need to do a lot of drills.
Your tongue needs to be in the right place. Also, I just like really like when he says like 虾兵蟹将.
It's just like the classic Sun Wukong voice that everyone knows and loves in China.
It's weird because like that pronunciation, the like really high to the low pitch, all his like fourth tones, I think are just like, ooh, would not work in English because you just sound like a teenager going through puberty type of thing. You just sound really weird.
But that sounds more like Beijing Mandarin intonation.
The Beijing accent actually has like a much wider pitch range, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wide. So Sun Wukong is probably from Beijing.
北京猴. I actually had like another thing right now that it's really hard for a lot of people when they're learning.
又想唬我回去做神仙。我也懂。
What were the tones there that happened? This is the tough part.
Yeah, all of the syllables are actually originally with the third tone. So 我也懂. But in Chinese, we don't pronounce them all with the third tone. We need to change the third tone here. So you can either say 我也懂 or 我也懂 if you say the first two faster.
This is why I always tell people like you need to learn with phrases, because otherwise, like yeah, you learn, oh, there's this rule, but when you learn 我也懂, 我也是, 你也是, 我也有, you start to get that muscle memory, and it makes it a lot easier to actually just do it automatically in the future rather than just trying to think of it on the spot when you're trying to say something. Keep drilling it basically.
And especially for those really high frequency ones. And that's what we do in the bootcamp.
我也懂。我不懂的事， 你他娘的杀我猴子猴孙！
What just happened there? If you've been learning Chinese for a while, you've probably heard 他妈的 is just like, you know,
The effing word where
the common one. 他娘的 what is that?
就是更土的版本。
Okay, 娘 also means
妈 and you can use it everywhere in a sentence.
like the F word. The later part, like I think is really interesting because like I think I can go really high, but like the 杀我猴子猴孙.
杀我猴子猴孙. And again, this is how we stress something in a Chinese sentence. So 杀我猴子猴孙 increase the pitch range drastically, while still we keep the tone contours, so people can still hear and understand what you are saying or which tones you are saying.
This is like the hard part though, because a lot of people they can do it in isolation. You just have 猴子猴孙.
But saying a word with correct tones is not that hard, but getting all the tones correct in a sentence is a whole nother level.
I feel like this is something like a lot of people really ignore. They learn the tones for one word and then they just keep going and they never put it all together, like I was saying. Gotta learn phrases, you need to put it in a sentence.
And also we change the pitch range in the sentence all the time, and that takes time to get a hang of. And we spend quite some time on that in our bootcamp.
蠢狗，放肆！还不退下！
为什么骂自己的狗啊？
都记好了，它不是只普通猴子，它是有功的猴子，是封过佛位的猴子。
I actually really like the way that he speaks because I think it's something that a lot of people just don't mention in classes, where something with the same tone can be higher or lower depending on how important it is or what's going on. So, like, what does he have here?
The modifiers here, like 普通、有功、封过佛位, are more stressed here, and the volume, the time length, and the pitch range of these parts are significantly different from the rest of the sentence.
The really important information, right?
And if you don't have a solid foundation of tones, and when you want to emphasize something in a Chinese sentence or put in more emotions, the tones can go off very easily.
We'll talk a little bit about how I practice sentences in a bit, but just you need to just really be thinking about what is higher, lower, longer, louder, quieter. And like that stuff is what really differentiates, you know, a guy who can kind of speak Chinese to someone who speaks pretty well to a native speaker.
这里除了我，没人配与他单挑。
I love his intonation.
猢狲的猢狲，我本不想与你这个手下败将再战一场。
So I feel like in general, 二郎神 speaks a little bit more formally than him, but he's also got right above is just 没人配与我单挑. I like the intonation there. What is 配 actually?
So 配 means be worthy of someone or something. You can say 配得上 or 配不上 with compliments.
我配不上你。
你配得上，配得上。
So it's I don't deserve you or like I'm not good enough for you.
Pay is deserve something in a good way. In English, you also say
You
I
deserve
deserve
it.
that. Yeah, 你活该.
Yeah.
That's a different phrase.
Yeah, so deserve, this one is definitely a good deserve. He's just telling everybody like, hey, get back. I am the only one that can fight him. No one is actually good enough to challenge him
Yeah.
except me.
这样吧，一会儿若是你败了，我带你回天庭。他们留在这里铲平花果山。若是我输了，我定然不会罢休。
定然。
他们照样铲平花果山。
罢休.
So he definitely speaks a lot more formally than Sun Wukong.
Yeah, because he's a god. 若是定然罢休.
So what is 若是?
若是就是如果.
If. 定然
就是一定 definitely.
罢休
Stop, give up.
放弃. So if we change it to like more casual speech, it's just 如果我输了，我一定不会放弃。
对，或者一定不会就这么算了。
So that's not the end of it. I won't leave it there. I'll be back. I will get revenge. He also used some other words that are common in, I guess, spoken speech, but not just one character by itself. So I would say 本来, but he says
我本
I would say 和 and he says
语 super formal.
if you're reading a book, if you're reading some articles, you'll definitely see
Newspapers.
that. But in normal speech, you're definitely going to hear more 和跟
Yeah, people don't really say it.
哎呀，生灵涂炭啊！
什么？
好歹也同僚一场，
What?
同僚一
不想啊！ 要不你现在就跪下认个错，这事儿就算过去了。
这事儿还行。
如何？
二郎神 sounds more like a villain here.
Yeah, I definitely get that vibe. But what did he say just now? This is actually the part I think in the first 20 minutes of the game where I was just like, I don't know what he said. So 生灵涂炭. What did it say?
生灵涂炭 means a lot of people or creatures died or they're murdered.
好歹也同僚一场。
同僚就是同事。
啊。
Because 孙悟空 was kind of like a god.
Or coworkers.
Yes, we were coworkers for a while. And I don't want to fight you.
And then he says, 跪下. So basically wants him to kneel down, 认个错, admit that you made a mistake. 这事儿就算过去了, which is a little bit more casual speech.
Yeah.
如何?
And 如何 is back to the super formal style. And it means 怎么样? How about that?
You could use that at the end of a question. 这件事情怎么样? 这件事情如何?
Or you can also say 如何 plus verb. It means how to do something. 如何做,如何说.
If you're searching on Google, how to learn Chinese, 如何学好中文,如何学习中文.
It's weird. If you can use 如何, you probably don't need to search that question.
这么多年了，除了那只猪头，就属你最会扯淡，最能逗老孙开心。
逗我开心。
杨兄弟，你放心，待会儿我只拔下你额头上那颗眼睛尝尝鲜，其他2颗先给你留着，我让你亲眼看看我是怎么杀光天庭每一条狗的。这里的，上面的，还有刚刚那条黑的，留下点儿，一起上吧。
Just come at me, bro. Okay. What else does he have? He says, 扯淡就属你最会扯淡。What is 扯淡?
BS.
最能逗老孙开心。
So though can be used as an adjective
你真逗
or a verb. 逗老孙开心,逗我开心,逗我笑.
So 逗 someone happy, basically just doing something to make somebody laugh, make someone smile, make someone happy.
Or just 逗 someone.
别逗我，杀光 is a pretty common
Resultive compliment. Yeah. 吃光,喝光,杀光.
until there's nothing left. So kill everyone dead. Finish all the food, drink all of the beer. 把这个东西喝光了，吃光了。
And 杀光每一条狗. So here 狗 is just a 蔑称.
So it's just kind of pejorative.
So everyone from the heaven court is like a dog. And I'm gonna kill every one of you.
And dog in Chinese is usually a bad thing.
Oftentimes.
Because in English you might say, you lucky dog.
Lucky dog.
What do you think of the language in the game in general?
So there's definitely a lot of formal phrases, sentences, or special terms, words, but it's a good mix of different styles. And I know some students in my course have been imitating and learning from the game.
And I think these are just like really good for learning because you get a lot of people who fall in love with a game or fall in love with a TV show. If you're willing to just listen to it over and over and imitate it, you're gonna get really good, not just at those sentences, but it starts to actually expand into other areas.
Intonations.
What I would do is just take a couple of the sentences that are in here in the subtitles. You can just like copy it down and listen to that clip over and over and over and pay attention to when it's really high and when it's really low. And obviously in normal speech, you're not gonna say like 下兵蟹将. You're not gonna talk like that, but if you can imitate it well, it's gonna just help with just your general speech. Even though you're speaking in a way that you probably won't in your day-to-day life. I will tell people all the time, this is one of the most effective things that you can do. Just trying to imitate it. I would even take notes on a piece of paper and then shadow it. Just try to do it in sync with the person or with the character and just try to get not only the actual characters and the pronunciation, but the tones, obviously, then the pitch, the length, the volume. And it sounds complicated, but after you do that a couple times, it starts to get easier and easier. And if you do that with some high frequency sentences, you're gonna sound really good.
And I always tell my students that it's completely fine to exaggerate a little bit when you practice pronunciation. But of course, first you need to know what is the correct way to pronounce them. And then just do the drill and form a habit.
If you're looking to master pronunciation right now, her bootcamp is starting on September 23rd, where she goes over finals, initials, obviously tones, intonation. So it's not just stuff within a character or a word, but also within the sentence and how you start reducing some things so you can actually sound more like a native. And it's not just for your speaking, because if you know these rules, if you know how people are doing it, you're going to be able to understand it better and you're going to be able to have better conversations.
Plus, you got personalized feedback every day.
Every day.
Yes. And weekly live stream with me where we do one-on-one session and you can ask away any questions you have.
So check out the link below. And now you can sign up. Starts on September 23rd.
And remember, with Fàn Lǎoshī, Chinese makes perfect sense. See you in the next video.